What's up, everybody? Anton here from Dropship Lifestyle, and I'm coming to you about a week or so after the 2024 US election, where Trump won again, and he'll now be president again in about 2 months. So if you voted for him and you're happy, yay! And if you hate him and you are sad and depressed, boo. The truth is, it doesn't matter either way for the purpose of this episode, because what I want to talk about is what this actually means and what it could mean for us as Shopify sellers. Now, for us specifically, we do high ticket drop shipping, and I'll get into some of the more, details or weeds about that later. But to start, I just want to talk about again what I think this actually does mean and how it's going to affect our businesses moving forward. So if you currently sell on Shopify, hopefully this shares some insight or maybe a different perspective you haven't thought of yet. And if you don't sell on Shopify yet and you're kind of thinking, how is this going to affect it? Should I not? Hopefully, again, this helps you to make a decision and know where my head is at and what I'm thinking moving forward. Now, before I get into this, I just want to share something because I thought it was pretty funny. A few weeks ago, we were doing this bourbon tasting with basically all the dads in my neighborhood. We do this every couple months where everyone will bring a few bottles of bourbon that they really like, and then somebody's wife will help out and basically pour everybody samples of everything. And we do it as a blind tasting, so we don't know what we're drinking. And then we have a little notepad and we'll all write down like, oh, number one, and what we thought about it, right? Was it good? Was it bad? What did it taste like? Whatever, and we'll go through. And then at the end, we'll see which bottle was which number and see if we actually have any sense of taste or not. But during the last one, being it was coming up on the election, that became a talking point. And normally during these politic conversations, I stay out of them because what's the point, right? It doesn't matter what you think. It's not going to affect anybody, at least not in my opinion, but I'm going to get in trouble this episode, right? But yeah, I don't talk about it. But it did come up, and a bunch of the guys were going back and forth with some of them about how they, love Trump and why he needs to win. And some of them were talking about really not so much why they love Harris, but why they don't like Trump and aren't going to vote for him. And after a while in the conversation, one of the guys just asked everybody, well, was your life any better when Trump was president, right? Back in 2016 when he came into office. And this is when I actually did, there's a few bourbons in at this point. So I did speak up. And it's funny because I said, for me personally, life better in terms of happiness or anything or quality of life? No, because I've been doing my own thing now for 12, 13 years and pretty much lived the same lifestyle since then. But financially, during Trump's presidency, things actually, some of our businesses 2x'd, some of them did even better. But the thing I had to say, and this isn't against Trump, but it was not because of Trump. It was just because of the unique situation that everybody in the world really found themselves in. In our case, everybody being basically locked at home and having more disposable income. And what that meant to me as a business owner, as somebody that sells online, as somebody that markets online, is that I got a lot more website visitors across all of our businesses, and I got a lot more sales because people had a lot more disposable income. So during Trump's presidency, was my life better financially? I would say definitely. And since then, it's returned to normal, which normal is still great, but it was extraordinary during that presidency. Again, not because of him, but because an act of God, if we want to call it that. And because, again, people were locked at home, had extra money, and turned to the internet to spend it. Now, with that being said, what I wanted to do myself, once we found out, on election night that Trump won, is to look at, okay, well, what's actually going to happen now? And outside of another act of God, what is this going to look like for us as business owners? So basically, the first thing that, popped up, and it's been a recurring theme of this presidential campaign for him, is the tariffs, right? And if you're not familiar with tariffs, I'll just give you an example of how this could work in one of our businesses specifically. So let's just say we owned a standing desk store, and we sold standing desks online on our Shopify site, and we sold for 20 different brands. Let's just say that brand A that we sold for, they were a US company, a US brand. They had all their products in stock in the US, but they had their products manufactured in China. Okay. Trump is currently proposing a 60% tariff and up to that. Well, and again, this is just talk, so we'll see what actually happens, but kind of just going off talk right now because that's where we're at. If a 60% tariff on goods imported from China went into effect, the way it would work is supplier A, again, that we sold for on our standing desk store, would place an order for a container from their manufacturer in China, let's say. And let's say that that container cost $100,000. Well, they would pay $100,000 to their manufacturer in China. The products would be made. They would be shipped to supplier A's warehouse in, Carolina, wherever. And because they spent $100,000, they would now owe a 60% tariff, which in this case would be $60,000. So instead of having a cost of $100,000 for the cost of goods, now their cost is $160,000. So what does that mean to them? What does that mean to us as retailers? Well, the first thing it means is they're definitely going to charge more for wholesale costs, right? Because their costs are going up. They're not just going to absorb that because most likely their margins don't support it. And even if they did, they don't want to see their net profit get just cut and sliced to almost nothing. So what they're going to have to do is increase their wholesale prices. Now, what does that mean for us when we go to sell products? Well, it means we now also have to charge more to our customers so that our margins don't get sliced to nothing. Now, when it comes to basically how we sell and what this means in terms of like competition, with most suppliers we sell for, and stick with me if you're not a dropshipping person, specifically a dropship lifestyle person, but the way pricing works is we get a wholesale price list from the brands we sell for, and then we have something known as MAP, which stands for Minimum Advertised Price, MAP, and MAP is typically equal to a multiple of wholesale. So let's just say previously this stand-up desk, the wholesale cost was $400 and the MAP policy was 2x wholesale. That would mean we would sell this to our customers for, in that case, $800, right? 2x to 400 wholesale. Well, if the supplier now has this tariff and they have to increase their wholesale price, let's say to $500 or let's say $600, well, then we now have to sell it at MAP for $1,200, which means it's becoming more expensive to our customers. Now, our margins are still going to be just fine, so we're not losing money. But the fear, and what you hear people talking about now, is does that mean sales are just going to drop off a cliff? And the truth is, with products that are coming specifically from China, because that's where the biggest tariff that Trump is proposing is going to be, then I do think there will be a decrease in sales. Because if something in that hypothetical cost $800 2 weeks ago, and in 2 months from now is $1,200, even though everybody that sells it has to sell it for $1,200, that's still a big ask of a consumer to spend $400 more on a product that they could have bought for $800 again a couple months back, right? So I do think that products that are manufactured in China will definitely take a hit in terms of units sold in the States, just because the price is going to have to go up accordingly with tariffs, which again is a big ask for consumers. Now, I'm going to talk about a few other things too, because this isn't the only business that we're in. In fact, it's not even close to that. But when it comes to products coming from China, if that tariff of 60% is put into effect, then all of that is true, right? Again, that's how I'm seeing this play out. Product prices go up, consumers buy less because it costs them more money, and it's going to take them a while to get used to the fact that things are going to have to be more expensive. But again, that is only true with the products coming from China. Now, with products that are, let's say and that's supplier A, right? So supplier A, let's say their products are manufactured in China, even though they're a US company. Now, let's say we have supplier B, and their products are manufactured in India, right? Similar products, still stand-up desks, but they're made in India or Vietnam. Well, Trump is proposing, I believe currently he's like the most recent things he's been saying is between 10 and 20% of a tariff on that. So let's just go with the 10%. And let's say that supplier B orders $100,000 of standing desks from their supplier in India. They get to the States, that supplier has to pay $10,000 as a tariff for that $100,000 of product. Again, what's going to happen? Our wholesale price is going to go up. Our MAP that we have to sell to customers for, that's going to go up, and we're going to be charging more money to customers. Now, 10% is a lot easier for people to swallow than 60%. So if you're staying with me here, what I think this means is that for products that are made in any country besides China, again, assuming what Trump is proposing goes into effect, will sell much better, right? So the first thing that I'm doing is looking at all the brands that I sell for amongst our businesses, and I'm looking where their products are manufactured. Now, again, this isn't going into effect today. I don't know if he's going to sign this into law or if that's even possible on day one of his presidency, but it's kind of just looking forward to see, okay, how can we plan for the future? If currently on store number one that we have, our best-selling products come from suppliers who have them manufactured in China, well, that's going to be a supplier maybe we want to push less. Maybe we want to divert more of our ad budget into products that are being manufactured in other parts of the world. Again, even though they're already warehoused in the US, we want to find ones where the country of origin, where they're created, is not China. Now, what is the best case scenario as you're either going through the list of brands you already sell for, or again, thinking about starting a Shopify store as we move into the new year, into 2025, into a Trump presidency? The best move, in my opinion, is to find brands, and it doesn't mean take the other brands off your website. So I want to stress that. We're not like deleting suppliers that have products made in China. But the best move is to find suppliers you already have where the products are manufactured in the US, or find new suppliers to add to your store where the products are manufactured in the US. Because if they are manufactured in the US, then the tariff is zero. Not only that, Trump is saying that products that are manufactured in the US, the companies that manufacture them are going to get discounts. Basically, they're going to get an incentive on their taxes, on their corporate tax. So not only will they not be paying more in tariffs for the products made in the US, but they'll be paying less in taxes from whenever this is signed into law. Again, assuming it is. This is just words right now. But what that means is these suppliers, the ones that are made in the US, will have even higher margins, which means that if they want to, they can keep prices the same, or they can even lower them. So what I think is going to happen if, again, this all plays out in terms of what's being said right now, the products that are made in the USA, and I think this is the goal from Trump doing this, but the products that are made in the USA will actually sell better. So what can you do? Well, like I mentioned, how we're looking, and this is if you have a store already, right? If you have a high ticket dropshipping store like we do, like I teach people how to set up a dropship lifestyle, what you can do is look through your suppliers, look through the country of origin for the products, find ones that are already made in the USA, and start diverting more of your ad budget into those brands, and do that now so you can kind of establish yourself as an authority for selling for those brands before these things come into play. Now, another thing you could do, which is super simple, but let's just say that it was you that had a standing desk store. Go on Google, type in standing desks made in the USA, pull up the first page of Google results, and contact those brands if you don't already sell for them. Go through what I teach you in Module 4 of the Dropship Blueprint for how to become an authorized retailer, add them to your store. And again, that's not going to change anything today or tomorrow or next month. But if these things go into place, it's going to put you in a place where you have products where the prices are not going to have to drastically increase to keep your margins. Now, outside of those things, right? Like, how else can a Trump presidency affect basically what it is we do? Well, one more thing I'll say is if you are dropshipping from China, which I don't think you are if you follow this, this episode or this podcast or anything from Dropship Lifestyle, because we do not do that. But if you are, it's going to hurt you. So start looking into other ways to source products. I would say that's number one. Have a bunch of resources for you at dropshiplifestyle.com. So check that out. But the biggest other thing is what this is actually going to look like for the economy and for, consumers, right? So I know if you go online, like basically it looks like the U.S. I don't know. This is probably another place I'll get in trouble here, but it says the U.S. economy is doing great. Unemployment's low, inflation's down. But to me, as somebody that does very well, and it's been doing well, I don't know. From what I see out there, I don't think the economy is doing great. Just, again, you could disagree with me and, crush me in the comments for this, but it doesn't seem like the economy is doing great. I think a lot of people, even if it was just the way they felt like they were doing better, before the last 4 years, right? So let's say we do get to a place where inflation continues to stay down, where rates get cut, where people have access to more credit, then people get comfortable spending online again, spending more online, I should say. I think that is obviously a huge win for retailers. The only issue, again, is if the products from China, if that's all you're selling, the prices go up so much that even if people are more confident in the economy, even if people have access to more credit or better rates, are they going to be willing to spend these now inflated prices because of tariffs? And the truth is, I still don't know, which is why what we're doing again, and what I think you should be doing, is looking for those products that are originated in other parts of the world, ideally the USA, but trust me, again, we're still not cutting products from China. Again, I got to keep saying this for anybody new, but we don't drop ship from China. We drop ship for US companies, but look where their products are manufactured, where the country of origin is. We're still selling for products that are made, in Vietnam, in India, all over the world, definitely in the USA. And I think overall things will be just fine. It's just one of those things that I wanted to share what you can kind of do to get ahead of the curve, to share my thoughts. Hopefully they are helpful for you. If you have any, similar thoughts, or if you completely disagree with me, I would honestly love to hear it. This is one of the conversations I would love to open up. So let me know, leave a comment, and I would love to hear from you. But those are my thoughts. That's how I think another Trump presidency is going to affect basically dropshipping moving forward for the next 4 years and possibly even longer moving into the future. So share your thoughts, let me know, and I'll be back when I got something else I want to share with you on the Dropship Lifestyle podcast. All right. See you, everybody. Have a great week.